Good evening, folks, and welcome to the stream. Tonight we're going to be playing some Powerwash Simulator, continuing through the Final Fantasy VII content. If we run out of that, we're either going to continue with the Tomb Raider content or switch over and do some puzzles. Either way, it's going to be a pretty chill day. But before we get into that any further, let's check in with the kitties. Top center up there, we have Ember napping on the heating pad, getting cozy. Sky is in the upper right up there, getting his chin scratched at the moment. He's sprawled out over the entirety of the heating pad. I gotta keep scratching his chin because he's in I want attention mode, and if he doesn't get that attention, he is going to grab the mouse and start clicking things. Let's zoom in a little bit. Ember snoozing away there. Might try to summon Sherbet and Mason later tonight. We'll see. Got a type of cat treat that I can use that will have those two running towards me if I open one. They're like Go-Gurt for cats, in that it's a squeezable meat paste in a tube. Which is squeezable meat paste in a tube, I think, is a amazing product description that we need to see more of. Hey there, Tass. How is your day going? Good times. Well, hopefully today remains relaxing. Let's pop back into Powerwash. Like I said, we're going to continue with the Final Fantasy VII campaign. If we run out of stuff in this one, we're either going to switch over to puzzles or we're going to move into the Tomb Raider content. Either way. Wow, that looks extra grubby. If you're ever curious about the music that I've got, I commissioned this through the same group that made my avatar. It is, it's Animation, I'm gonna say, Studios. It's linked in, I think my Twitter profile has it linked. If not, it's in the pinned post with the model design. But they have someone that will do music, and I realize that I can click this screen. I always think it's a loading screen, but it's not. Bio residue. Classic. Glad to have you in the Shinra building again. So this is Reeve once more. Let me get this outer edge done. Even though I might not even be where I am today without the company's stunning advancements in Mako harvesting technology, I have rarely visited this exhibit, and I believe I finally understand why. I'm going to read these a little quick. Sometimes they vanish. It forces me to come face to face with the fact that what this city has become is no longer what I hoped it would be. Now, is Reeve the one that is puppeteering Kate said, terrible darkness has settled over Midgar, and who knows when it will lift. Never keep my Final Fantasy VII lore straight. Primarily because it was never particularly my favorite. That falls somewhere from 4 to 6 for me. 4 or 6. Though 9 was really good. It was really good too. In the 3D era, that's 9 is firmly there. Though 9 almost entirely because of Vivi and his plot. Rest of the plot lines, not bad. Bad, but could be better. With that said, I do really like how Cloud's plotline is playing out in the 7 remake. I wasn't fond of how they've got Sephiroth and the Genova's appearance in the Shinra Tower the way it was. I can't recall if it was anything like that originally, but it felt kind of out of nowhere. And the big climactic thing battle at the end of remake has still not yet made sense to me. Like, I've been told some of the content and some of the references in it, but it still felt kind of meh. At least maybe if they had made it much more apparent in game what was supposed to be going on. I think apparently some of it is related to Advent children, and while it's not out of the question to reference other media, I feel like you should not do that unless that media is made available. At least those concepts are made available within that same thing. Reminds me of Chrono Cross, the pseudo sequel to Chrono Trigger. You know, sort of, but not really. It's more of a spiritual successor kind of thing. Despite the fact that it does reference Chrono Trigger inside of it. Could have been cleaning these off, I guess. I'm sure we get these then. Chrono Cross has an aspect to it that is based off of a audio novel that was not released in the US called Radical Dreamers. I've not heard it, but apparently a lot of the characters and some of their interactions and similar are based off of content in Radical Dreamers. So you end up with a bit of a who is this and why do I care kind of vibe sometimes. Not irredeemable, but I think they could more gracefully handle those cross-media tie-ins. What was it? The Dot Hack games. The actual Dot Hack games. The ones that were kind of an action RPG. They were very... The original ones were kind of... not great as far as the action content. It was pretty repetitive how you had to fight. I think that's true in general of the dot hack games, though, even in GU. But the dot hack games inside, along with the game disc, there was a little anime disc, which was simultaneous media, but the trick of it was that it was the stuff happening, it was parallel stuff happening outside of the game world. And while it was an interesting addition to the plot, it was not something that was necessary to understand what was going on. It was more of a, oh, you can see a little more deeply there. Well, the 7 and the last sequence of 7 doesn't go into the territory of its complete nonsense without that. There are aspects of it that are strongly referencing the outside content, and it's, you know, I guess a way to put it is it didn't feel good in the moment. Be a way to put it. We had these shapes that were clearly a thing. Now, they might define more of that in the subsequent game. And to some extent that would be redeeming of it, because even though they are going to be separate games, I kind of would have to view them as more of like, less like a sequel and more like a continuation, you know? Like, they will be almost certainly standalone experiences. But it's that continuation of the same narrative thing, you know? Which is really what you want out of a good sequel. You don't just want, you know, like the last one, but again. Want there to feel like there's some sort of flow through the story. I didn't like things like Final Fantasy IV, I think it's called the After Years. It was a mobile spin-off of Final Fantasy IV, which takes place and it's like the children of the prior characters. But what it amounts to is a lot of scenes that are them revisiting the exact same maps from Final Fantasy IV, and it has the vibe of, hey, remember this game that this is based off of? Do you remember? Allow me to explain the general layout of Midgar. As you may have noticed, it is divided into 8 sectors, each powered by its own Mako reactor, and at the very center of the city stands the Shinra building. That lump in there, I guess. Yeah, right there. But as the city's design is predicated on the use of Mako, perhaps I should explain what that is first. MacGuffin Goo. So I do have to wonder if they don't address that later on in the remake as well. The fact that the concept of Mako energy being a threat to the world gets more screen time after the Shinra, the Midgar sequence. You know, the whole eco-terrorism angle is sort of a critical part of the initial plot line, and it fades in relevancy pretty quickly after that. Well, it's not a bad thing that they don't fixate on it for the whole game. It's kind of a non-trivial motivation for at least one of the characters. But while I'm yammering on, if you have any thoughts or questions yourselves, feel free to toss them in there. I will continue. I will continue to chatter either way. But do feel free to change the topic as you'd like. A lot of use out of the yellow nozzle here. I don't use it as much anymore because the trident nozzle is really effective on most situations. But if you're trying to go close range, or if you've got some what you're power washing off isn't really thick, then yellow nozzle is pretty solid. You still have a lot more cleaning strength than like the green or the white, but you don't have the problems of the like the blue or the red where it's too narrow to be terribly useful. Almost made the circuit. That was another cool aspect of the remake, is that you really got to see more of the different kind of almost the ecosystem of Midgar. You know, the different tiers of society, really a better feel for how it's structured. Like originally you knew the plates existed, and you really get to see it in the remake. I don't miss any of the bits here, so I don't have to loop back around. Get this little back segment of each one. mentioned before, but like, it's important to have a really good story in RPGs. To some extent, it's kind of the point. But aside from that, setting that aside, for me, one of the critical engagement factors is the ability to make numbers go up. Just critically important that I be able to do that, and ideally, that I be able to do that indefinitely. No stopping. Now, that can go too far. It can get tedious if the systems for making the numbers go up don't feel as tangible as they could. So, for example, Disgaea takes it a little too far. Not in that numbers do not go up, or that the numbers that go up aren't great. It's just that it feels like they've done that for the sake of doing that, as opposed to really making it feel like it's fun in its own right. Oh, you can level up this weapon, you can level up the stats on the weapon, you can level up the characters, you can level up the character classes, and you can level up the special traits of the characters, all kinds of stuff like that, while it's neat, the mechanism of doing it after a while gets really repetitive for its complexity. You're constantly going through the item worlds, the character worlds, all that stuff. So if you're asking me to do a ridiculous grind, what I prefer at that point is to simplify it. You can still have a ridiculous grind, but don't ask me to spend ridiculous chunks of time each time I iterate. Interesting, the plates are different sector plates are entities as well. Very nice. It wouldn't be a steep scale without picking up some new games. One of the things that I moved was the Yakuza series, which I have been told is very good. I did like a Dragon, but that is not, the same as the mainline Yakuza content. A different gameplay, all that stuff. 3 outskirts completed. Mako is a substance that flows under the surface of the planet. Our skilled engineers have learned how to convert this substance into electricity, which in turn has greatly raised the people's standard of living. I'd hoped this innovation would allow Midgar to become a veritable utopia. Unfortunately, wherever there is progress, there are setbacks. What we're talking about. Catbot Factory has been pure progress, top to bottom. No setbacks, no problems. Clearly, your data set was too limited, Mr. Reed. Look at those spotlights. I mean, those are huge lights. People approaching Midgar run the risk of just having their retinas annihilated by those lights. Let me know if you think I should adjust the volume on the water effect in here. I want it to go away entirely. It's kind of a nice, kind of a white noise effect. But I wouldn't want it so loud that it's agitating and distracting. Enough goo here that maybe we should switch over to the trident. Let's get those little narrow bits without worrying as much. Let's stick with yellow. As we use the filth pulse liberally, we will detect all of this stuff. Imagine how useful the filth pulse would be in everyday life. I mean, also terrifying, but also useful. This will hose down. Seems to be a little trickier. it done. We'll sweep the whole interior before we come back to the exterior. Edgar really does that engineered city very well. Out in, beyond real world, there are a couple examples of that. Like I see somewhere in South America that there is a city that was built to be optimum for having cars navigate through it. So many of it's very grid laid out, and all of the roads are these giant 5-lane roads. You could just maximize the number of cars you could have on the road, and so it was a nightmare to get cars around it because you would constantly have gridlock. Pedestrians would have a rough time getting anywhere because you'd have to wait for a protracted period at every intersection, since they were these gigantic roads. To the extent where nobody wanted to use it. And that's one of those aspects they found, is it doesn't really matter how much room you give the cars to operate. It doesn't improve the traffic situation. More space for cars just means more cars filling that space, not sufficient space for cars. Trident's doing work again. That's right, Tess. And it's not even like a slight thing, like, oh, it's close. Like, we get a decent ratio or something like that. It's fantastically that way. It's the more space, the more traffic. Mark my words, I will complete my expressway project one day, as well as the restoration of Sector 6. All I want is to make life better for everyone in Midgar. Especially those in the Undercity. However, I've had to fight tooth and nail for every permit and scrap of funding. As much as it pains me to say this, I fear the rest of Shinra may view Midgar's people in a different light. That's right, Tess. Reeves is trying ever so hard. Come on, guys. Would you let me be a little less evil? Just a little less evil? Can I not kick so many puppies today? That'd be great if we could not kick so many puppies today. Nope, we're sorry, but all of the funding for the orphanages is instead going to, orphan-fueled bioweapon research. We realized we could feed them, but instead, it's medical experiments and bioweapons. I might not be remembering it perfectly. In fact, I'm almost certainly not remembering it perfectly, but I remember playing through the remake that I was kind of pleased that none of the characters that you encounter had that Captain Planet villain vibe to them. No, we won't use this new amazing technology for clean energy purposes. We're going to use this smog-producing technology and pump the smog down into the lower city, so that we can cause people to have lung problems because we're so evil. Still pretty villainous with some of them, but not that sort of "but why" vibe that you get with the others. Like, what's your motivation for doing this? I guess what I'm referencing, Taz, is I recall an episode of Captain Planet where the villains were setting out to, cause pollution, because that's what all of them do. But in order to accomplish that, they set up a factory that would construct air conditioners. Like the external AC unit kind of things. They would fully manufacture those air conditioners on an assembly line. And once the finished air conditioner, fully functional, ready to go, reached the end, a giant saw blade cut it in half and released the coolant gas into the air. That's what I'm referring to with, Captain Planet villainy. Like, their ethics are 100% questionable. I mean, like, Hojo's lab's existence says their ethics are really questionable, but they seem to go about it in a way that implies that they have rational thought and motivation. They can still be super villains. They can still do things that are just evil, but they should have a reason for doing the evil. Like, yeah, they're turning this guy's capturing people and turning them into bioweapons kind of thing, but he's not doing it in a way that is intentionally the most gruesome way to do it possible. Like, he's doing it to make bioweapons, and sometimes it fails, as opposed to, oh, this is the bioweapon torture machine. What's it do? It makes them into bioweapons, but it also stabs needles into their groins constantly during the whole process. What do the needles do? Nothing. They're just there to hurt. The needles are also red hot. Okay, on to the interior segments. Monitor on the streaming PC flickered there. Very much a what's going on kind of moment. As much as a hey, don't do that moment. There we go. Well, that's interesting. Wonder what that's supposed to be. Well, that's true. If you recall, while we were cleaning out the Seventh Heaven bar, whatever, Tifa said they were making the final preparations for their operation. So, is this the... Was that like the raid on the reactor, or would it be one of the later operations? Did you hear that? It sounded like an explosion. Words about complications with Reactor 1. Okay, so it is the hit on the reactor, right? What amounts to the first mission in Final Fantasy VII. Excuse me, but this issue requires my immediate attention. Is politic for that seems bad. Think of the Final Fantasy games that I've played, which characters, which protagonists do I think had the best narrative to them? And while my memory of Seven's storyline is not perfect by any stretch, one might even say not good, I would say, especially with just what we've seen in the remake so far, Cloud is definitely up there. But in general, I'm not thrilled with the narratives of the main characters. Like, Cecil from 4 had a decent one. Edis and what was even the main character's name in was it 12? Can't even remember. He was kind of not memorable. Don't even... Squall never really registered as interesting for me. From 8. Zidane from 9, not really thrilled with him. That sounds right. Van? Yeah. He didn't seem terribly interesting narratively to me. Too much shonen protagonist going on. You know, the not a blank slate, but meant to be relatable and energetic to the youth. I mean, you definitely want your main characters feeling like the viewer should feel like the main character is really engaged in what is happening, you know? I didn't really play enough of 13 to really get a handle on whether I cared much about lightning. I have to say I wasn't really engaged with any of the characters in 13. But Tess. Clearly the cool thing about Cloud and thus Squall is super cool weapon and special moves. I will say, I think Remake has done wonders towards making Cloud feel like a cool character from the get-go. Like, there's stuff going on with Cloud, and I want to know more. That is true. There are moments where you can see he's really trying to keep his tough guy, I don't really care about anything persona, like, really hard. You know, sure, whatever, I don't care. Very subtly turning back to watch the reaction. some life situations prevented me from getting to it, but there was wasn't there like an add-on or something like that to 7 Remake? Like after the base release? Had one of those sort of like confusing and overblown kind of names. Integrate, there you go. Sort of word that's like, that sounds kind of cool. Let me look up what it's supposed to mean. Kind of words, you know? I don't know what content was in that. Ah, cool, okay. Yuffie is another character that desperately needed fleshing out. Again, while my knowledge of the Seven lore is spotty at best, I have been told by people like Cass that the narrative of the places that Yuffie comes from, and to some extent this is covered in the 7 Remake, is that area is actually a significant factor in the kind of geopolitical situation of Midgar, which is cool. Crisis Core covers an interesting period in the game and fleshes out one of the non-trivial characters in the narrative in Black-Haired Squall. I'm sorry, Black-Haired Cloud. The mechanics in that game are one of the things that prevents me from properly acknowledging it. I just can't with a game that's like, you know what makes for engaging RPG battles? Slot machines. That's what the people want. Slot machines. They do away with the scoring mechanic. I remember which Tales of game it was, but that was a... But why did you do this element to it? And that was that they added a score mechanic to the boss fights. Unless you did the boss fight really well, you didn't get all the rewards, and you didn't have a chance to do them again. Interesting. Really, there were a lot of games in the PSP era, well, that were released on the PSP, putting it more clearly, that had questionable design decisions. We're going to take a quick break, folks. I'm going to be right back. we're back. Let's see. Sector 0 spotlights. Let's find the missing tube. When in doubt, saturation bombing. You just drop a giant water balloon from orbit and nuke it from there. That would be what I'd be doing. There we go. It is Angel Tune. This is the Final Fantasy VII extra content for Powerwash. This is the model of Midgar. I think the first level is the Shinra vehicle showcase, where you clean off the pickup truck and the bike from the escape sequence. Then the next one is cleaning off the giant mechanical scorpion robot thing. Then the Seventh Heaven Bar interior, and now the Midgar model. But beyond that, welcome to the stream there, Angel. These base walls. Okay. Oh, there we go, there we go. Show us that replay. Very nice. Very nice. Public security believes the incident at Reactor 1 was the work of the eco-terrorists known as Avalanche. I can't imagine why anyone would endanger the lives of their fellow citizens, least of all those who claim to respect all life. But conversely, perhaps Shinra needs to ask itself where its fault in all this lies. Forgive me, this isn't your problem. Instead, let me congratulate you on another job well done. It's always a pleasure to work with you. Wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. The Airbuster. Okay. Another boss robot. Heidegger once again. You're needed for an urgent classified cleaning operation. I'll be brief. Our unstoppable new airbuster has been undergoing intensive durability tests. We've thrown everything at it. Advanced ballistics, concrete walls, Hojo's hideous beasts. There's nothing it can't endure. I've even covered it in liquid Mako, and it still works. Those avalanche fools won't even be able to put a dent in it. As this prototype is to be our new flagship model, you are to clean every square inch of it. I will not have it go into battle looking like some dingy antique at a swap meet. Ow. Sammy has decided that she needed to get a grip on my arm and sank some claws in. Oh yeah, it'd be filthy. Open the bomber cannon covers. Oh, miss, stop it. Stop it. Your murder mitts are sharp. Ow. 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 Quit it. No, it's a sign of infection, but of affection, but the cuts will cause infection. Unfortunately, the Scorpion Sentinel you cleaned was destroyed by an ex-soldier for hire. Who could that have been? Hojo thought it was hilarious. Nice that the little rotary bits operate that way for you. I find it hilarious that long-haired lunatic doesn't think his precious creations are next. The rivalry between them. That seems so plausible, Angel. What a remarkably specific guess. Switch to yellow here. Find space and all. I wonder if these base side plate, perhaps. There we go. Excellent. Base side turret. Angel, this is free DLC for Powerwash Simulator. The amount of quality that went into this edition is impressive. I mean, Square is the publisher between both of them, but for them to lean in so much to this product is amazing. Yep. 7 was right there at the beginning of a real renaissance in gaming popularity. It went from... I wouldn't say it was a niche thing, but something that was a lot less common to something that was a lot more common. The demographics for console gaming changed a lot during that era, I would assume. I have no numbers on this, but I'm going to state it as if it's fact. In a way, Avalanche has played right into my hands. I've long been urging the President to deploy the Airbuster, but to no avail. I mean, maybe you shouldn't have called it the Airbuster, and then maybe people would take your proposals seriously about using it. So those pesky gnats buzzing about Shinra's ear, however, he finally decided to sign off on it. I owe you one an Avalanche, and I know exactly how I'm going to repay you. Yeah, today's our chill gaming day, and Power Wash really falls into that. grime is a lot more caked on in some of the other ones. Testing the capabilities of the Airbuster has been a source of immense excitement for me. Testing out his, killer war machines really gets him going. Machine guns, cannons, grenade launchers, the ability to fly. This beauty has it all. I haven't felt a thrill like this since I fed some deserters to the wolves, literally. Yeah, he has very particular tastes, but he knows them, so, good for him. Oh yeah, this thing is going to be a hassle to get all the little nooks into our crannies. Lots of little joints and crevices. Look at things from different angles. Ember's moving, so kitty check here. Get a double. Ribbit and Sky being all snuggly. That's right, Angel. The one in the back is Sky, the big fluffy gray and white one. And then the little tan and white cotton ball next to him is Sherbet. Sherbet is very fond of Sky. try to identify them for you as they show themselves, if they show themselves. Actually, so the one that was on camera, the little kind of diluted calico, was Ember. This one is Sammy. She's sleeping on the bed pillow. She is the one that very playfully sank her claws into my arm and chomped at me for a little bit earlier. She is a little sweetheart, but since she spent a year as a feral cat before a shelter got a hold of her, she is still very much anti things like claw trimming. Sherbet can be caught, and you can do that, though Sherbet is still tricky about it. Sammy will have none of it, and you have to be careful because she will go on the offensive pretty quick. So when she's playful, the claws come out. But otherwise, she's a sweetheart. Yeah, her brother did not adapt to people at all. So he stayed a working cat. Well, he became a working cat. Farms and similar will adopt them to like live in barns and like, you know, put some food out for them, and they do what outdoor cats do and murder everything smaller than a cat. Supposed to be something you can open up. Remember the button that I'm supposed to use for that, though. There in those hard to reach places. Airbuster's varied arsenal reminds me of a former soldier. He was so famous, even you might know of him. Man's name was Sephiroth, and I could tell he was going to be special the moment I first saw him. As a way to describe him, yes. His katana was large enough to slash mechs in half, which he did with ease. Just his strength that endeared him to everyone. He had quite a face as well. Little wonder he was renowned as a hero. Well, in my opinion, a hero shouldn't grow his hair quite so long. The filthy hippie. Heidegger does strike me as a crew cut or you're a heathen sort of guy. Heidegger strikes me as the kind of guy who wouldn't say katana. He strikes me as the kind of guy that would say samurai sword. So much filth remaining. Launcher cubes. Just the fact that they actually essentially ported the actual Final Fantasy VII assets over to PowerWash for use is one of the impressive aspects. F to lower the rear cannon. Yeah, how has your day been going, Angel? And what brings you to the channel? Wiggle around in there a little bit. Everything I can hit the once over, you know? Well, I appreciate you swinging in there. Hope those health problems turn around. Old standby issue for most folks is, you know, even if everything else is going well, your health is always waiting in the wings to turn things around. Kinds of little bits on the faceplate. After Sephiroth went missing 5 years ago, we, and the entirety of Midgar, felt his loss. fought admirably in the war against Wu Tai, and the people absolutely adored him, even more than they do our mascot, Stamp. Although once they see the military marvel that is the Airbuster, they'll forget Sephiroth even existed. I don't know if they explained that. Again, I may have forgotten, but I get the impression that Heidegger is the type that would have had an executive interest in the creation of Stamp. Like that was his, unintended pet project. And not in a like, hey, we need to present a more personable view of Shinra to the people. It was probably much more of a, what can we do to lure kids into joining our paramilitary organization? It's like cartoon dogs, right? Yeah, let's make one of those. That'll get them interested. The sort of person that if he existed in the real world today, the term "those millennials" or something like that would come very easily to. So when you think about it, OK Boomer works really well on multiple levels for Heidegger. Given the release date of Final Fantasy VII, the idea of OK Boomer for Heidegger could actually be accurate as far as age group. Cleaning pattern is all over the place, just hitting whatever. It's nice. You gotta appreciate that they took the time to actually have things like the gun barrels be open. When I have made, put together Warhammer models in the light, one of the things that is always a aspect of detail that you don't always want to commit the time to is boring out the gun barrels. By default, most model kits have the gun barrels being solid and filled in. And it's one of those little visual quality things that you can do for a model is to bore them out. But if you do it wrong, since it is relatively soft plastic, not, super squishy, it's easy to tear open the gun barrel and effectively ruin the model. Which is a bad thing. Also found it a hassle just to get drills that are teeny tiny enough to handle it, you know? Some of them that I used for that purpose were so small and thin that they, the drill was just as likely to bend as anything else. The bit. You know, the thing. Articulated joints have grooves and notches that gather the filth. There we go. Nice touch that the interior has to be cleaned too. Especially given that they were testing this thing against, like, bioweapons and the like, you'd fully expect that it's, quite the build-up. All the mechanical parts on the inside and the outside, chock full of bits and goo. Chock full of bits and goo being the advertising slogan for some of the Shinra food products that are marketed towards the lower levels. You know, they'd have sort of like a cereal mascot for it. It'd come in like squeezy tubes. Be like, you know, tubes of bits and goo. They're nominally nutritious. Higher here. Base side plates, base side panel, and the tank buster vent. remainder are the side panels now. There we go. See that replay. Should see the doors pop open and close a couple of times during this. Nope. Unfortunate. It's quite the shine you've given that airbuster, and just in time. I've been informed that Avalanche has been located trying to escape Reactor 5. We're deploying that unit immediately to crush those terrorists like the bugs they are. I think we might even broadcast the encounter to the whole city. After all, there is no more fitting stage for Shinra's new robotic star. Oh, and by the way, your contract's up. Of course, if you want, I can always hire you directly. After all, the airbuster isn't going to clean itself, and today's the first day of its world tour. Alright, that's the end of the Final Fantasy VII content. So let's continue along. Let me see. I thought we had another one. There we go, Tomb Raider. Let's do Tomb Raider. It's either that or more nanograms, and I feel like at least doing power wash for the remainder of the night, you know? Oh dear. Well then. Oh yeah, we're gonna need that platform. I trust you have everything you need to begin work. I'm sure I'll be sure to furnish you with tea and biscuits just as soon as I escape a minor predicament. It's nothing to worry about, by the way. Everything's fine. Miss Croft likes to set me these challenges from time to time, otherwise one can get rather dull. Scour them doors out. You know, I've never played a Tomb Raider game. You know, I'm aware of their existence. The early ones never really had anything interesting to me. As such, it never really encouraged me to try any of the newer ones. A newer one? I don't know if there have been multiple. I know there was a newer one. You know, like a character reboot, as it were. Oh yeah. Plenty of power wash to be had on this one, that's for sure. At least they've got indestructible potted plants. That'll save them some money after this. Be able to use yellow for more of this. It's got to be careful since it doesn't scour as well as the trident. But it does mean we can get away with going a little less carefully on some of it. Narrower, but it's more consistent. As long as I keep the requisite distance from the target, I don't have to worry about missing spots. Hey there, Adam. I'm sure we're gonna miss a lot of dirt. It's quite a bit of ground to cover. A little bit at a time. Get those dings. trident, you can, at the right range, you can get around with just flailing up and down like this. Bouncy. There we go. Yeah, this style of manner is going to be a thing to complete. Type of game that's just easy to sort of zone out to, get into a groove. Power washer telekinesis, go! So we'll get these parts of the, I don't know, midpoint building edge thing. Like a balcony, but... seems like a platform built to ensure they get even more icicles. Ever live in a place where they warn, like, there are sometimes signs near big buildings to watch out for icicles? Because you'll have those, like, human-sized spikes hanging from edges of buildings. Cleaning pattern just all over the place, just whatever I happen to see at the time. Pressure washing equivalent of, look, a squirrel. Quick kitty check here. Oh, they're full on snuggled up now. Cheek to cheek. We are done with the 7 DLC there, Tess. This is the Tomb Raider DLC. I figured we'd resume this instead of switching to puzzles today. Nice change of pace, you know? Perhaps it might be judicious to say a few pertinent points whilst you work. Whilst. Ain't he fancy? Miss Croft is an extraordinary woman. She demands exacting standards both from herself and from others. You excel, you'll meet with her generous side. not well, Miss Croft has an extensive and colorful vocabulary. A hostile work environment to me. The House Server Union will hear of this. I always like how butlers in particular have some stereotypes with their naming. Like, in some places like the US, a stereotypical name for a butler is Jeeves. But you may have encountered it if you've watched any anime that features a butler. Is a very common name is Sebas, short for Sebastian. And in those situations, that is pretty much the equivalent of saying Jeeves. That is the stereotypical butler name. It's a bit old. Weird factoids no one asked for. Nope. Found the edge of the platform. I wonder at what point it began being called a factoid and not a fact. Is it about a fact that merits the oid suffix? These are the questions, and we're just asking questions. People want to know. turn off the wiggle mode here, free aim mode, before I try to turn left or right so that I don't slice around randomly. Makes it easier to keep track of where I've been when there aren't slash marks through all the dirt randomly. If they'll keep doing this with Square Enix properties. Adding them to Powerwash. One could hope. Oh, maybe we could get like a near Automata one, you know? Or just near, but Automata would be easier because they're robots. That could be very cool. Yup. Inside the orbital station, you could have some of the set piece bosses. What was the name of the giant Titan things? Hey there, Danny. Welcome aboard. Good to have you here. This might be apparent. We're doing some power wash. Oh. Okay. Haven't seen you in a bit. Good to have you back, then. How have you been? We have been playing a variety of things. We did start Danganronpa about a week ago, playing that on Saturdays now. Doing good. All the kitties are back to being in good health. Which is nice. All that stress is gone. Been trying to be a little more creative with the way that I'm making my videos, so I think I'm getting some more practice in on that. Trying to see what I can make with my short videos. Well, thanks for swinging by, Danny. Have a good evening. Scrubby, scrubby. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing either a version of or another game in the same vein as Viscera Cleanup Detail that doesn't have the fiddly physics mechanics. Because I think that's what's holding that game back, is that you get the wonky, like, things vibrate until they kind of explode behavior in Viscera Cleanup Detail. But the core conceit of it, the idea that you're, coming in after things like the Doom Marine or something like that, is sort of hilarious. I just wish the game mechanics were a little less wonky. Not a fan of Skyrim physics, thank you very much. Yeah, exactly, Tess. It's that sort of thing that even if they did have testing, and that's always, questionable, it's clearly one of those things that if it came up, they chose to ignore it. Lots of opportunities in that game for storytelling. And for little gotcha moments, things like where you've cleaned an area and you come back and there's something new there. You get some cool passive narrative going on. Is going to be to finish this map. So there's a decent chance that we'll run over, but that's okay. Surprisingly tough work, exterior cleaning, isn't it? We've seen worse. I got through 4 flannels on 1 brick alone. Like you've brought some high-fangled gizmo or other to speed up the process. High-fangled? I've never heard that. Also not heard flannels used to describe, like, a cleaning implement. To me, it sounds like he was saying he went through shirts used to clean things. Maybe cleaning those bricks works up such a sweat, you know? Shirts get so sodden and filthy that he's got to change them before he can resume cleaning. We need to dig deeper into the lore of this clearly out-of-shape butler. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Not terribly efficient, but I can't say it's not fun. From the Discord, barbed wire reminded me of the various channels that do essentially like SCP audio blogs or podcast kind of things. They're good little background listens. I've been doing some of that. Sometimes I'll listen to them while I'm walking around the house doing other stuff. Sometimes when I'm video editing, but there's a limit on how much I can listen to since I've also got to hear the video audio. I remember what this reminds me of. This sort of rapid rapid slicing back and forth. The way it seems to, slowly be building up the clean area as it like blurs back and forth really quickly. Yeah. Sure, it will come to me at some point. As things are wont to do. And you're laying there trying to sleep, and suddenly that thing you were trying to remember 2 days ago comes to you and wakes you back up. You know that thing that's not relevant anymore, and you were just trying really hard to remember? Yeah, this is that thing. Doesn't matter anymore, but this is that thing. Coloration of the stonework doesn't help with the checking where the dirt is, because it's very similar in color to what the filth pulse is. So it's only when it's in shadow that you can see it very well. Nice. Looking forward to trying Judgment this week. I can't remember. Tess, do you know off the top of your head, or otherwise, what the main character's name in Judgment is? The ex-detective's name? As I was reading the description, it mentioned that the game was a spin-off of Like a Dragon. And I was wondering, is he supposed to be the same detective that shows up in Yakuza Like a Dragon? I think it's like Ishikawa or something like that. Guy who's been investigating some of the Yakuza clans, but at this point he's been, busted down to traffic cop or something like that from detective. Just like been fired or something like that. I think he worked in the DMV, that's what it was. He's been knocked down as low as he could get. Got a hold of the whole baseline Yakuza series thing. It could be fun to play. Hello, I trust Winston has extricated himself from the freezer in time to make you tea. Man, we've been busy blasting the filth off of your property. Two things that always find their way out: the truth and Winston. Grubby scrubby. So while we'll be starting with the Judgment series, eventually we're gonna get to we're gonna make our way to the baseline Yakuza games and see how those go. I'm told they combine silly and serious, which I appreciate. I did enjoy Yakuza Like a Dragon, though I acknowledge that the playstyle mechanics of both of them are very different. More brawly than a turn-based game. That's fine. Horrible fish creature cleaned off. wonder if the trend of adult comic coloring books is derived from the same sort of interest in this sort of game. That urge to fill in the blanks or similar. Really let this place go. Luck, we'll be able to find something that won't require us to go up on top of the fish to complete it. Very close to avoiding that, but upper platform done here. Then we'll bring over the scaffolding. There we go. Eesh. At the very least, we're making a lot of headway already. This is good. Especially if they ever did, like, let's say, Chrono Trigger in 3D assets. Not to say that's the way to go, but if they did, then that would be another series that would be rife with opportunities for this, you know, Robo or the related series of robots. You'd have some of the factories from the future, the setting areas from the future, some of the the bike that you race on there. You could have Luca's Portal. You'd have some of the like castle settings from the past. Maybe some content from the Magical City Zeal. Lots of possibilities. Okay. It's mostly second floor now. Get up there, getting the right amount of pressure from down below. we can see why that area didn't finish. And just scrubbing it down. Second pass, move the scaffolding over to the little alcove down there. Up. Up. Up and up. Somebody had mentioned before, but it would be kind of a hilarious thing to track how much water you have sprayed during a particular map. We got a ways to go yet. Most of it seems over here. So much filth. Everything is done and dusted over here in Egypt, and I'll be back in England to see your handiwork soon. Those gigantic, ostentatious buildings that exist solely to show how rich you are. It's almost never the case. More never the case than otherwise. That such buildings are fully utilized. Look how many bedrooms it has. We use 3 of them. Just all the windows alone would be a huge labor expenditure keeping them clean. why we would have needed 2 scaffolds, but hey, whatever. I mean, maybe if you're playing this in multiplayer, then you don't have to fight over your scaffolds. Get closer to the ground for that. No sense in having the maximum dispersion or minimum dispersion on the beam there. Sherbet moved out, and Sky has managed to get the entire space to himself. Sherbet popped over to here. Much of this as we can from down below. Some ever so satisfying completion dings here. those little... One would expect those little under the platform things have a specific name. Just never encountered it before. Marbles. Definitely going to be some to the left of this part here. It's fun how athletic the power washer is. still a few more things to find. We're very close, folks. Dude. Why's that, casemate? Also, welcome, casemate. I think that's part of the attraction of it for me, is that getting every little last bit. Now, I don't like it when it's... because it's just hard to get to the spot. They've put it in a bad location. But still. I definitely get the sentiment. Yeah, how's your night been going, casemate? I hope to have some of that in the nearish future myself. Plus of I think I've gotten to the point where I'm going to get good sleep and more that it's kind of aspirational. Lots of another battlement. Purple tables and corbels. Corbel table. Battlement right there. There's no escape. Power wall. One of these. There you are. Corbel table. It's a corbel table. Oh, these. Okay. Over to the ledge here. Right there. Just about done. There we go. Let's see that replay. Nice. Winston has been gushing about what a tremendous job you've done finishing his cleaning on the exterior, and I'm excited to see it for myself. You have my deepest gratitude. In fact, based on this solid intel, I think I have something else for you. Laura Croft's obstacle course and bike quad. I wonder if it's going to be as nasty as the skate park was. But that's going to do it for the night, folks. We finished up the Final Fantasy VII content, and we moved on to the Tomb Raider content, because I didn't feel like switching over to puzzles just yet. So we'll finish the Tomb Raider stuff and then we'll move on to puzzles unless we find another chill game for Mondays. Tomorrow we're going to pick up Phoenix Wright. I can't remember fully where we left off. I know we got young Phoenix acquitted, but I can't recall where it picked up after that. Then on Thursday we're going to start Judgment, which is a Like a Dragon spin-off, but you play as a detective. Then Friday is more Murder by Numbers, and on Saturday it will be Danganronpa. Lots of good stuff. Investigative games all week. Let's see, anything else? Well, if you are not yet a member of the Discord and you'd like to join in with some conversations on the community, suggest games that I have, or just post to or look at the pet photo board, feel free to swing by that Discord. There's a link in the video description. Otherwise, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I hope you had a good time, even those of you that were here only briefly. And I hope you have a good evening.